I'm Jackie Marchant, author of The Sword of Red. I was lucky enough to be invited to the Super Relaxed Fantasy Club a while ago. I had a really lovely time that evening. I was made to feel very welcome and it was great. Now I've been asked if I could record something for their YouTube channel. So what I'm going to do is play you a very short trailer and then I will read you something from the book. So I'll see you in about 30 seconds or so. Hello again. I'm now going to read to you from chapter 1. When I was at the Super Relaxed Fantasy Club, I read the opening, which is a sort of prologue where we meet Poole, who is the antagonist of this story. He was on a boat with his father. High rulers from Camoria come to assess Langrinia's coast, but they were so greedily looking at what was above Langrinia's impenetrable cliffs, at the forest and all its riches, that the boat went too far and they were sucked under by the currents that protect Langrinia, and everyone met a rather nasty death, torn to shreds on the rocks that lie beneath the water, apart from Poole, who somehow managed to survive and make his way to the bottom of Langrinia's impenetrable cliffs. Chapter 1. Neekra took Garrett's bloody hand and cradled his head in her lap. A gust of misty morning air blew over the cliffs as she brushed his hair away from his face. She gave him the reassuring smile she'd give to a washed-up rebel from Camoria, the smile that said, "Trust me, I'm a healer. You made it to Langrinia and you are safe now." But this was Garrett, her key partner, her friend, and the last person she wanted to see curled up on the sparring yard ground with a uke sword sticking out of his chest. "Help's coming," Neekra promised, wishing it would hurry up. The whole city must have heard Lee screaming for help. "Garrett! Garrett! Garrett!" Gull song floated over the cliffs. Not birds, but foresters calling in song that only Neekra could understand. "Hurt! Hurt! Hurt!" Neekra heard the message weave into the city, while everyone else stood oblivious. They'd hear girls and think nothing of it. They wouldn't pause to think the forest thought Garrett worthy of news. "Garrett! Hurt!" Gull song changed to crow as the message went into the forest. Now Neekra heard nothing but a breeze, a cough from fidgeting fighters who stood around, and a genuine cry of gull. Then she heard the scattering of feet as fighters stepped out of the way for the large, no-nonsense, fully armed woman bursting through. Fight Master Lee, back from yelling for the master healers. "Haven't you got jobs to go to?" Lee shooed them away, which Neekra thought was unfair. They'd done everything they could, helping her turn Garrett on his side, fetching cloth soaked from the seawater pump, and fetching offcuts of wood from the sword makers to lodge under the blade to take its weight. And Lee's agitation wasn't helping Garrett. "Don't worry, I've seen worse. Lee made a bad attempt at optimism. That bad, is it? Garrett turned his eyes to Lee, giving Nika a chance to take another look at the damage. She looked down at where she'd cut away Garrett's deerskin tunic as best she could, and padded the wound, sword and all, with seawater cloths. They were soaked red, but not enough. With a wound like that, it should be dripping. Garrett was bleeding internally. "How's it looking?" Garrett whispered. He sounded casual, but she could see the anxiety in his grey eyes, and the pain. "Not bad." Nika thought herself bright. "Fine craftsmanship, lovely piece of uke. It'll survive." Garrett tried to smile. "It'll come up fine with a bit of a clean." "Nikra." Her name floated over, not in the urgent call of gull, but in the song of blackbird. She looked up and saw a slender figure standing on the weapon room roof, long dark hair waving in the breeze. Nika had seen this Forrester up there before. In fact, she'd been around a lot recently, watching the fighting in the yard. But Nika didn't tell anyone that. They wouldn't like to know they were being watched by a Forrester. "We can give him healing." Words only Nika could understand, spoken by a Forrester only she could see. She looked down at Garrett. Was he so near death that his only chance was Forrester healing? The Forrester sprang from the roof, a wisp of grace disappearing into the mist towards the cliffs. Nika couldn't see the cliffs, but knew that when the mist cleared, she'd have a view straight down the jagged drop to the white froth crashing onto the rocks far below, where the sea writhed in a pattern of light and dark blue as the currents brought the tide in like an unwilling plait. Currents that brought the rebels from Comoria, injured, dying, desperate, breathing their last as she held their eyes with all the comfort she should give them. She'd seen too many wash up dead down there, but the ones that lived told of the horrors that drove them to risk their lives for Langrinia. Horrors that hadn't changed since the first rebels fled the rulers of Comoria in their stolen fleet all those generations ago. Those early rebels had made Langrinia their home. They'd built the fort and city and waited for the rulers to come after them. But the rulers never came. For generations the rocks and currents had kept Langrinia safe, and the rebel flag would always fly. Or so they think. What they don't know is that Dana and his son Paul are at this very moment eyeing the coast with a view to invasion.